being swept under the carpet and nobody's calling it out. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to call it out. John Fury is a disgrace. What he's doing is bringing boxing into disrepute. It's disgusting and terrible that people will be watching this fight, the biggest fight in years.
This whole situation is being ignored, and no one's speaking up, so I'm here to call it out. John Fury's actions are seriously damaging boxing's reputation. It's crazy that people are still excited to watch a fight like this, one of the biggest in years, when there's so much drama behind it. It looks like Carl Froch and John Fury have some kind of agreement to throw jabs at each other before or after every Tyson Fury fight. While John Fury has mostly kept quiet, this time it's Carl Froch who's the one throwing the first punch. What's going on here? Carl Froch didn't hold back when he called out John Fury for staying silent after his son's loss. He pointed out that the fighting man we all know isn't usually this quiet at press conferences. There's something missing in all this build-up, the presence of Big John Fury, the tough man who's been through so much in his own journey. Froch didn't stop there. He even went as far as calling Tyson Fury a disgrace to British boxing and an incompetent fighter. Despite having the advantage in height and weight, Fury still lost to a cruiserweight. And just to stir things up, Carl's training partner Tony Bellew also joined in, taking shots at Tyson Fury with his own jabs. What do you think about all this? Carl Froch made a bold claim, saying that if he were as big and tall as Tyson Fury, he'd beat everyone in the world. He was throwing shade at Fury, suggesting that even with his 6 of frame and 20 stone weight, he's still not meeting expectations. Froch joked, if I were that big, I'd probably invade Russia, but I'm not, so I don't know if I'd ever lose if I were that size. Watching from ringside, the former super middleweight world champion shared his thoughts on his YouTube channel. He said the right man won, but made it clear that no one could ever say Fury was the better fighter in this match. What do you think? Does Fury really live up to the hype? Froch made it clear that there were no real complaints about who won the fight, aside from Bricktop at ringside, but let's be real, the right man came out on top in the end. He went on to say that he scored the fight exactly like all 3 judges did. It was a close one, with the action swinging back and forth. From round 1 to about round 6 or 7, it was anyone's game. Froch mentioned he scored 1 round for Tyson, the next for Usyk, and there were a few rounds in between that were so close it was hard to choose. It was definitely a fight that kept everyone on the edge of their seat. What did you think? Was it as close as Froch saw it? Froch believes the turning point in the fight came around round 6 or 7 when Usyk started to catch up as Tyson began to tire, something Froch had predicted. The fight was close, but Usyk definitely landed the more memorable shots. He mentioned that Frank Warren, sitting ringside, was upset, calling it a robbery, but Froch thinks Warren was probably watching through emotional glasses, convinced that Tyson won and hoping for a trilogy fight. For Froch, though, there was no doubt Usyk won. He scored it the same way as the judges, with Usyk ahead by about 4 or 5 rounds. Usyk did his job, and that's the bottom line. What do you think? Did Usyk really deserve the win? Evening got the win and kept his titles in what was a pretty intriguing fight. It wasn't mind-blowing, but it definitely kept you interested from start to finish. I wasn't completely glued to the screen, but I was paying attention every second. As for John Fury, he really needs to understand that his son's actions have caused some serious damage to British boxing. There's been a lot of talk, and while John might stay quiet before and after his son's fight, it's hard to believe he'll stay silent forever after all the shots coming his way. What do you think? How long can he keep quiet? Carl Froch pointed out that while Usyk's strategy worked, it was Usyk who landed the most eye-catching shots. He's in a class of his own, just above everyone else, especially when you consider the weight and size differences. Now, Nottinghamshire boxing legend Carl Froch is telling Tyson Fury to think about distancing his father from his team as he gets ready for his big fight with Oleksandr Usyk. This advice comes after John Fury, Tyson's dad, caused a lot of negative attention with his disruptive behavior at the Tommy Fury vs. Darren Till press event. What do you think? Should Tyson listen to Froch's advice? The press conference started off calm between Tommy Fury and Darren Till, but things quickly got heated when John Fury started squirting water at Till. The situation escalated, and security had to step in to keep the fighters apart until things calmed down. Tyson Fury probably knows his dad has good intentions and just wants him to win, but he might be thinking, Dad, I get it, but please stay out of the way. In an interview with Action Network, Carl Froch didn't hold back, calling John Fury's behavior childish and pathetic. What do you think? Should Tyson step in and tell his dad to cool it? Darren Till definitely had a lot to say and wasn't holding back, but in the end, it's about him and Tommy Fury, not Big John Fury, so why is he even getting involved? It seems like John just wants some attention. He hasn't really achieved much on his own, while his son Tyson Fury is a top fighter with a big reputation. Yes, Tyson just lost to Oleksandr Usyk, but honestly, I don't think too much about it. Tyson just stays calm and focused on what's next. What do you think? Should John Fury stay out of it and let the fighters handle their business? Big John Fury usually keeps quiet, watching his son and rooting for him to win. He might be helping behind the scenes, but he knows when to step back and let the real trainers take charge. But as Tyson got ready for his big rematch with Usyk, people started asking, where's Big John? After Tyson's first professional loss to Usyk in May, rumors about pushing John out of Tyson's corner started to grow. Tyson was eager to get his revenge and settle the score. Do you think Big John should stay involved, or is it time for him to take a step back? When asked about his strategy for the upcoming fight, Tyson made it clear he isn't planning any major changes. Not much will change, he said. And I know exactly what I need to do. People might talk about switching trainers or blaming the conditioning coach, the cook, or even a mouse next door, but it's the same team, the same plan. I know what I have to do. He also added that Bellew and Carl Froch didn't make any money from this situation, which he pointed out as something important. What do you think? Should Tyson stick with what works or try something new? Bellew, former cruiserweight world champion and friend of Carl Froch, was watching the fight closely and had some strong thoughts as it headed into the final round. I've got Usyk ahead, 6-5 after 11 rounds, he said. There were some close rounds, but honestly, I don't see how he's losing. He's been pushing the fight and landing more punches than Tyson Fury. Everything's up for grabs now. A knockdown could win it for Fury. When the final round came, Bellew scored it as a 101-0, making the result even more uncertain. How do you see it? Who do you think was winning at that point? Bellew scored the fight 1-1-5-1-1-4 in Usyk's favor after a fantastic final round. It was an amazing chess match, and honestly, I couldn't separate the two. Bellew said, I've got Usyk winning, but I think both fighters gave everything they had. No one can really complain about the result. It wasn't a robbery. Usyk just did a bit more, outlanding Fury and pressing the action. Although he agreed with Usyk's win, Bellew thought the three judges scoring it 1-1-6-1-1-2 for Usyk was a little too wide. I'm pretty sure I thought I won that fight, he added. It's kind of like how I saw Larry Holmes back in the day. What do you think? Did Usyk do enough to win, or was it closer than the judges' scorecards showed? Tyson Fury recently opened up about his losses, saying, I've got 2 losses on my record now, so there's nothing more I can do. I just give it my all and fight with everything I've got. Despite the setbacks, Fury still feels the score in his recent fight with Usyk was too wide. I'll always believe it was a bit too much, but I get why they gave it to him. His constant pressure and work rate really won him those rounds, Fury explained. He also had some words of respect for Usyk, calling him a warrior. He stepped up again after everything, and that's something I truly respect, Fury said. But things got heated after the fight when Fury clashed with both Bellew and Carl Froch. Carl Froch criticized Fury for avoiding fights, and that didn't sit well with Tyson. He fired back, standing his ground and making it clear he wasn't backing down. What do you think? Was Fury right to stand up for himself, or is there some truth to the criticism? Tyson Fury is getting a lot of attention right now, but not for the reasons he might want. Instead of facing Oleksandr Usyk, the undisputed world heavyweight champion, Fury has decided to fight former UFC world heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou in a 10-round non-title match in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, on October 28. This decision has raised a lot of eyebrows because many people expected Fury to take on Usyk in what would have been one of the biggest fights in boxing. Instead, Fury is choosing a crossover fight where boxing meets MMA. Think back to when Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor. It's kind of like that, but with a different twist. Some people are calling it a cash grab, and it's hard to ignore the fact that many fans aren't too excited about it. 2 retired boxing legends, Carl Froch and Bellew, didn't hold back when they voiced their disappointment with Fury's decision. They've been really vocal about how they feel, and it's caused a lot of buzz in the boxing world. The question now is, did Fury make the right choice, or is this just a move for the money? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, it's a controversial move that's got everyone talking. Tyson Fury didn't hold back in his latest rant, saying, the feathers of the self-styled Gypsy King, see these balls? Lick them, idiot. He made it clear that it must sting for Bell and Frust that they haven't made a dime off boxing. I've just signed the biggest deal in boxing history, but I can't tell you the details yet, he added. All these media outlets are using my name just to get clicks, but let's be honest, without me, there's no boxing. I run this game. This didn't sit well with Froze, who fired back, accusing Fury of disrespecting both the sport and its fans. Tyson Fury didn't hold back, saying, it's not classy to talk about money, is it? Not classy at all, he went on to explain. Me and Bellew, I can speak for him too, because I know he had some big pay-per-view fights, but still, it's just not the kind of thing you should bring up. Fury then made it clear that both he and Bellew have done well in boxing. We've walked away from the sport with our health intact, financially free, and in a good place physically and mentally, he shared on his YouTube channel, Froch on Fighting. But he didn't stop there, adding, I'm just an average fighter, and when you look at the records, your career doesn't stack up against mine. Tyson Fury wasn't holding back, saying, you've got 4 wins over world champion Steve Cunningham, an old cruiserweight, Vladimir Klitschko in a terrible fight, and Deontay Wilder 3 times, beating him twice. But me? I've got 11 wins over world champions, Lennox Lewis. He's got 14. He then added, we've done well. We've left the sport financially free, and more importantly, we've kept our health intact. We're in a good place, both physically and mentally. Fury also made it clear you can have all the money in the world, but when you show up at the Hall of Fame party next year, you won't be sitting with me or my peers. With that record, you don't belong at that table. But not everyone agreed with Fury's words. Froch hit back with some advice: you should mind your own business and focus on real fights. You should be defending your title, fighting other champions. How long do you have left in the game? 2, maybe 3 more fights? These crossover bouts are a waste. You're losing the fans. And it's sad to see. It just doesn't make sense. Tyson Fury made it clear, saying, you need to understand heavyweight boxing is on a whole different level. Heavyweights make the big money, and that's been the case for decades. Deep down, you know you're hurting the sport. Step into the ring with a real fighter like Oleksandr Usyk or Anthony Joshua, and you'll see what I mean. But promoter Eddie Hearn wasn't on the same page. He disagreed with Fury about the outcome of the second fight between Usyk and Fury, saying it should have been a draw. The 37-year-old Ukrainian fighter, Usyk, definitely caused some controversy with his performance. The fight was awarded to Tyson Fury on points, just like his previous win in Saudi Arabia earlier this year. All 3 judges scored it 1-1-6-1-1-2 in favor of the reigning heavyweight champion. But the decision sparked a lot of debate in the boxing world, with Fury claiming his opponent was handed a Christmas gift. Fury shared, I thought it was tough to split us. Oh, damn, I just got punched in the stomach by NZ. Luckily, I've got a transmitter in there, or I would have been down. He added, I felt like I won that fight. Honestly, I thought I won both of them. Tyson Fury didn't hold back, saying, I'm going home with 2 losses on my record, and there's not much I can do about it. All I can do is fight my heart out. I'll believe until the day I die that I won that fight. I felt a little Christmas spirit in there. And I think he got an early Christmas gift from the judges. Fury, who lost the first fight in May by split decision, added, maybe those camel jockeys were giving me some revenge for all the stuff the British Museum took from other countries. Anyway, I'll see you all soon. Fury finished with a jab at promoter Eddie Hearn, leaving fans wondering where this rivalry will go next. The chairman of Matchroom Sports, Eddie Hearn, believes a draw would have been a fair result, as he scored it 6-5 in favor of Fury going into the final round. I thought it was a very close fight, he told IFL TV. I thought Usyk won the last round, so I had it as a draw. But there are a lot of people who had Usyk winning it. Overall, I just felt there were a lot of close rounds. Interestingly, an AI judge who wasn't part of the official scoring had Usyk winning by a wider margin, 1-1-8, 1-1-8, 1-2. Hearn agreed with Frank Warren that Fury should have been given the decision. Eddie Hearn weighed in on the fight, saying it was close, but he had no real issues with how the result was handled. It was a very close fight, he explained. I scored it 6-5 going into the last round. I thought Usyk won the final round, so I had it as a draw, but a lot of people seem to think Usyk won. Overall, I just didn't feel like it was an 8-4 kind of fight. He also mentioned something positive. What stood out was that all 3 judges had the same score, and they're all highly respected, like Steve Weisfeld. So, while opinions may vary on who won, Hearn believes the judges made a fair call in the end. I think the AI judge had it right, scoring the fight 1-1-8, 1-1-2 for Usyk. But for me, it was super close, could have been a draw really, with just 1 round swinging either way. It's great to see consistency from the judges though. I'm definitely going to watch it again, but honestly, I struggled to pick a clear winner. It was that close. Looking to the future, Hearn mentioned the idea of a rematch between Usyk and Daniel Dubois, who might get promoted to undisputed IBF heavyweight champion now that Usyk vacated the title to set up his second fight with Fury. Instead of facing the mandatory challenger, Joseph Parker, that could make sense, but Hearn did warn Dubois not to look past Parker because that's a fight he can't afford to take lightly. As for Fury, people are asking what's next for the Gypsy King after not being able to avenge his first ever loss. Hearn thinks it's time for the long-awaited Battle of Britain with Anthony Joshua, who has his schedule open in 2025. But with Fury, it's hard to say what's coming next. It's only 1 fight, and we still don't know where he'll go from here. The future is wide open. This version uses simple language and directly engages the audience with questions and thoughts about what's coming next in the heavyweight boxing scene. Imagine this: a massive showdown between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua at Wembley next year. Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter, is convinced it would be a box office hit, even if both fighters are coming off losses. Joshua took a tough knockout from IBF champion Daniel Dubois in October, but Hearn says there's only 1 fight that really matters for Tyson Fury, and that's Anthony Joshua. It would be the biggest fight in British boxing history, and the whole country would be buzzing to see it. Hearn also pointed out that Fury didn't look finished in his last fight. It wasn't a bad performance, and it wasn't like he was afraid to throw punches or his chin was in question. Fury might not have been able to beat Oleksandr Usyk, but he still got it. He could be at the peak of his powers, just not good enough for Usyk right now. So in Hearn's eyes, the only fight that makes sense is AJ vs Fury. It's the fight everyone's waiting for. But there's still a lot up in the air, especially since, as Turkey mentioned in an interview, he doesn't think AJ should face Dubois next. For me though, the fight that should happen is AJ vs Fury at Wembley. Fans would go wild for it, and that's the fight everyone's hoping for. Let's see if it actually comes together. This version is written in an easy, conversational style that directly engages the audience from beginning to end, building excitement and keeping them interested throughout. Next season, I'll be pushing His Excellency Turkey Alik to make this fight happen. Lewis, who was sitting right in the front row, saw Fury fall short against Usyk for the second time. The former undisputed heavyweight champion believes Usyk deserved the win, but he understands why Fury might feel like he got a raw deal from the judges. Lewis shared his thoughts with TNT Sports. It was a solid fight, but I really would have liked to see Tyson be more aggressive and take the fight to Usyk. He won the first fight, so it was up to him to go for it. If Fury had been a little more aggressive and gone after Usyk harder, I think we could have seen a different outcome. In the 10th round, Fury was holding on and working well inside, and I thought that's how the whole fight could have played out. But Fury and his team didn't agree with the judges' scorecards, which had the fight 1-1-6-1-1-2 in Usyk's favor. They felt it was much closer than that. Boxing has a real problem with judging, and Turkey Alik, the head of Saudi boxing, is trying to solve it. He even introduced an AI judge for the Usyk vs Fury 2 fight, and the AI scored it 1-1-8-1-1-1 for Usyk. But honestly, many people, including Fury, don't think the AI judge works. Fury believed he had won the fight, and he was upset about the decision. His promoter, Frank Warren, said he was completely shocked by the scores. Despite giving up height and reach to Usyk, Fury showed incredible heart in fight, but Usyk controlled the pace for most of the match, landing more punches with better accuracy. The fight was still a classic, just not as exciting as the first one. But no matter what, the debate over who really won is sure to keep people talking. This fight was more of a chess match than the dramatic first one. The rounds were super close, but you could see Fury's energy dropping in the second half. Meanwhile, Usyk's left hand was clearly the most dangerous weapon of the night. Now, we can talk about whatever we want, but what the fans really want is AJ vs Fury. That's the fight everyone has been waiting for, and it's time to make it happen. But let's wait and see what happens next. I've got a lot of respect for Tyson Fury, and I want to thank everyone who came out to support me. Now, we move forward into a new year, ready for whatever comes our way. We'll see what happens, Fury said, deciding to skip the showboating for the rematch. The fight's over now. It's in the past. I didn't get the decision, and it is what it is. Now we move on. I'm going home to see my family. I haven't seen my kids in 12 weeks then. Lennox Lewis stepped in, interrupting a Frank Warren interview as Fury's promoter was furious about his fighter's loss to Oleksandr Usyk. Warren couldn't hide his frustration, speaking out in several interviews after the fight, including one with the BBC. It's madness, he said. Everyone who was there thought Fury won. This version keeps things straightforward while directly involving the audience and making the story easy to follow from start to finish. From where I was sitting, and even the neutrals around me, everyone thought Fury had won. Oscar de la Hoya and I were almost on the same page. We were just one round apart in our scoring. And we both agreed that Fury deserved it. The scoring was honestly crazy. Do I agree with the decision? No way. I just can't understand how one judge gave Fury only one round after round 6 and the other 2 judges gave him just 1 round each. What fight were they watching? As a neutral, I thought it was a split decision, and I'm honestly really disappointed. People will probably say I'm biased, and I might be, but I still think Fury should have won. Things got a bit heated when Lewis jumped into the conversation with Warren, asking the former undisputed heavyweight champion what he thought of the fight. Lewis replied, "I didn't score it, but it was definitely close." Warren was clearly frustrated, especially when he pointed out that one judge didn't give Fury a single round in the second half of the fight. "What fight are they watching?" he said, shaking his head. It was a great fight. So where does Fury go from here? Warren believes there are still plenty of big fights for him. There are other great matchups out there, he said. It really depends on what happens next. Fury stayed calm about the result, but he didn't think it was totally fair. Lewis agreed, saying, yeah, Fury should have at least gotten a couple of rounds in the second half of the fight. Then, Lewis shared his thoughts on Usyk's future. He could potentially bring all 4 heavyweight belts together again. There's talk of a rematch with Daniel Dubois, who holds the other belt, but Dubois first needs to beat Joseph Parker in February. As for Usyk, it really depends on whether he wants to keep fighting or if he's ready to step away, and of course Anthony Joshua is still out there waiting for his chance. After everything we saw tonight, the fight between Usyk and Joshua is still massive in England. But who do you think wins that fight? Honestly, it's tough to say. Styles make fights, after all. Lewis thinks Usyk, now 37 and with nothing left to prove, might just retire. He can do whatever he wants. Lewis said he could retire if he feels like it, or he could go for a rematch or even take on someone else. That's all for now. For the latest news, moments, and action in the world of boxing, stay with us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates.